Good morning, good morning, good morning. Wow, lovely day in Paradise, Panama. And immediately I'm going to go ahead and bring in my co host there. Yes, Sheryl ready, I know. Let's see, I'm looking to see. Here she is. Okay, okay. Now, this is a beautiful spring day here in Panama. I'm on the island of Toboga, and here is Shirley. How are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
Good, good, good. Let me see. I think I need to check my volume here, see where it is. Okay.
You actually let me bring
All
mine up.
right. That's better. I can hear you
That's better.
now.
Yeah, you look colorful.
Oh, thank you, thank you. Well, I'm here. Wow, overlooking the Pacific Ocean here from my beautiful private island paradise,
Yeah.
on the island of Toboga off of the coast of Panama. Just one of those days that I get to really sit back and relax. No students around and, no rain in sight. It's rainy season now, but no rain in sight. So I'm enjoying the sunshine.
Are you juicing right now? Are you on your juice feed?
No, look, I'm on papaya. I'm doing
Oh,
papaya and dragon fruit. So,
oh wow.
so seeds with fruits that I swallow the seeds. So I take the papaya spoonful with the seeds in it, and
Yeah,
as I basically papaya doesn't need much chewing at all. So it just
right.
breaks up, just pressing it up on my palate with my tongue, and I swallow the seeds whole. I do
You
not
do?
chew the papaya seeds. I swallow them whole.
Is there a reason for that? Or like
Hmm.
what is it?
Okay, see, if you chew the seeds, of course, it's going to taste like it's like you're eating like a supercharged black pepper.
Right.
The
Yeah.
seeds have a very warming, spicy flavor
Yeah.
to them. But also the papaya seeds, they're magnets. And once you start to crush them, it loses its magnetism. So these magnets, this magnetic energy in the papaya attaches itself to parasites, or it attracts parasites in our body. And these parasites come out with the papaya seeds as they journey through
Ah,
your entire system. So so look, I'm having one whole small papaya, and I'm eating all of the seeds with the papaya as well, with the fruit, with the pulp. So when they
yep.
come out, they're coming out in a cluster. So you're going to see feces coming out of your system with all of these black, magnets in them. And look out, you might see a worm, coming out with
What?
them as well. Some negative parasites that your body don't need. So many people know this about papaya. They know that papaya is good for papaya seeds is good for deworming the body, for removing parasites. But most people chew the seeds because they're into that sensation of chewing. So it's like a natural thing to want to chew them, but also you're not going to get the effect of the real purpose, the value of the papaya seeds. And then interestingly enough, when you defecate, if you're in the bush like where I am, and I go do that in the bush, someday papaya trees are going to grow up right there because those seeds, as they
Right.
journey through my body, they're still alive. If I chew them, if I crush them, then I destroy that the life force in them. But they're still active. They still have that life value in them coming through my system, and papaya trees are going to sprout up wherever I drop my poop. So, it's about that relationship, that reciprocal relationship we have with the plants, that connects us to the universe. Once we sever that
Yeah.
relationship, then you see a lot of the issues that we're facing today is because we're really disconnected from the plant. So, you know, it's from plant to planetary vibration, so that we as heavenly bodies, we
Right.
can connect with the other heavenly bodies out here in the universe. But we cannot do that if we try to bypass the plant kingdom.
That was a great kickoff to this Q&A today. You know, that was some really,
Okay.
really great information most people didn't know about.
Okay, well, let's get the cues coming.
So I've got a kind of a laundry list of questions here that from all of the different Instagram lives that we've done. We did one on food combining, we did one on fasting, we did one on starch versus fruit, and then last week we did living foods and its relationship to disease. So I've just got a lot of questions from all four of those, and then like we talked about, maybe we'll bring on maybe a few people if they want to join to ask some specific questions.
I'm ready. Thank you.
You ready? Okay,
I
so why
sure
don't
am.
we just start? I'll ask maybe the first question, which is how do you feel about when it comes to starches? Because we know we're trying to get away from starches, but would some of the least offensive starches be something like a yam or a sweet potato?
Well, absolutely, the least offensive starches, we want to begin with the fruit kingdom. So, you know, the complex carbohydrates that are in the fruit kingdom is your pumpkin and all of your winter squashes, your banana squash, kaboga squash, all of these are fruits. So the complex carbohydrates in those, it doesn't take much for the body to flip them into simple carbohydrate, into sugar. The digestive process is not that intense. And you see, say, as opposed to, say, boiling a sweet potato, you can steam a squash, a butternut squash,
Right.
in 3 minutes, and it's ready. Pumpkin, in a few minutes, it's ready, as opposed to trying to cook down, you know, some of these like really hearty, you know, sweet potatoes and those deep root vegetables. So definitely I would start off with the fruit kingdom. So besides the pumpkin and the traditional winter squashes that we're familiar with, then there are also like tropical squashes, like one that is called the Cristofine or chayote in Spanish. In some places in English, it is called a chocho. So it's a tropical squash. It has one pit in it. And, you know, actually, I juice it. Excellent juice. But again, you can just basically just steam that in a couple of minutes and it's ready to eat. You know, then other
Gotcha.
types of complex carbohydrates, if you're going down to the root level, like before you get the sweet potato, consider the jicama. You could juice a jicama, so it's about the moisture. Jicama, Jicama. It grows primarily in Mexico. It's available all over the U.S., throughout the entire U.S., especially where there are people from Mexico or from other Latin countries, where you can get the jicama. It's a root, but it has minimal starch, minimal complex carbohydrate. As a matter of fact, if you juice it with your vegetable juices, as opposed to using apples, using the jicama, it would help neutralize the grassy flavor in a green juice, you know, because it has that quantity of sugar in it. And then also, of course, then I would also look at things like beetroots and carrots, you know, before I start going that deep into the sweet potatoes and the yams and things of that nature when it comes to the roots. In terms of other fruit complex carbohydrates, then you want to look at something like, say, a green banana, steaming a green banana, boiling a green banana. You want to boil it in the jacket, in the skin, because a lot of iron is in there. And also the plantain, the green plantain. These are unripened fruits that the body can process and turn into sugar more effectively than other types of green fruits, if I may. You know, I see some people even take like an avocado pit, you know, and grind it up, blend it to
Right.
make smoothies and shakes. You know, wow, that's a big job for the body to deal with. You know,
Sure.
there is mostly complex carbohydrates in there. You're not really getting protein. It's like really eating a green avocado. Who can eat a green avocado? No one. Even if you boil it, it doesn't work. But a green plantain, a
Right.
green banana, that works. And then you look at the other two branches of the complex carbohydrates. We have the roots, we have the fruits, and then also we have the grains and the beans, because grains are good 70% complex carbohydrates for the most part, starch, gluten, you know. So with the grains, the ones that are least offensive or that are easiest to digest are the finer grains,
Right.
the quinoa, the millet, amaranth, teff. But the larger grains, once you start getting into wheat and oats and barley, you have a problem
Right.
right there. The gluten, too much, intense. And then same likewise with the beans and the peas. Of course, if you have them fresh, you have no problem. Even like the
Mm-hmm.
corn, the young sweet corn is excellent. But once you get into the mature corn, the field corn, then you're talking pure cornstarch. You know, the young
Right.
sweet corn has got sugar in it. That's why they call it sweet corn. It's simple. It's the verge of that simple carbohydrate. So as a grain, the young sweet corn, you're fine. But now when you get into the mature field corn, now we're talking some serious brickworks, you know, that you got to break down and turn into sugar.
Right.
And then same thing with, you know, the beans and the peas, the sweet peas, the green peas, the young peas, the fresh peas, even the ones they freeze, you're still better off than the dried beans, especially the big beans, the black eyed peas, the kidney beans, all of these large beans. You know, soybean is the worst. That one you could just throw it in the trash bin immediately. You know,
Right.
unless it's sprouted, unless it's been cultured, it's been fermented, then the body can do something with it. But other than that, yes, we talk about the high protein in the soybean, but besides the protein, soybean is said to have 80% protein, but then it still has about 20% starch, complex carbohydrate. The body still has to deal with that before it can even get to the value of the protein. And likewise with other beans, you know, the finer the beans, the finer the peas, the better. So hands down, if you must deal with any of those beans, any of those peas, lentils are on the top of my list. Lentils.
Right. Okay.
And those special lentils, those French lentils, the black lentils, the small lentils, and of course split peas and things of that nature. But again, be careful with the larger ones. So complex carbohydrate, the smaller, the finer, the fruitier, the better.
I had a lot of questions about buckwheat, sprouted buckwheat. That actually is classified. Somebody was saying that they thought that was classified under the fruit category, and if sprouting buckwheat would be a good thing to do.
Sprouting all grains is the thing to do. It's really the
Right.
only thing to do. That's the
Right.
minimal thing to do, is to sprout your grains, because in the sprouting process, you're breaking down, excuse me, you're transforming the complex carbohydrate into simple sugar in the process, or you're
Right.
activating it and beginning the breakdown process. So, for example, little fine seeds are getting stuck. But anyway, the wheat, the whole wheat as we know it, that's supposed to be like, you know, the measurement of, you know, how good or how bad. And of course, buckwheat, I
Right.
mean, it's in the word, you know, it's wheat. It is wheat. It's in the wheat
Yeah.
family. But all grains, buckwheat, wheat, millet, amaranth, teff, all of them, oats, barley, they should not only be soaked and germinated and sprouted, they should also be planted. They need to grow. These grains are seeds for cereal grass. So yeah, buckwheat, grass, buckwheat greens, that's where you want to go. You don't stop at just sprouting the buckwheat. You want to grow it into a grass. So the buckwheat lettuce, the buckwheat greens, that's the ultimate. Those microgreens. You juice that, you put it in your salad, no problem whatsoever. But yes, there is a step. You can work with the sprouted buckwheat. You can make bread and cookies and cakes and different things. It's just better than the buckwheat flour. It's way up ahead of the buckwheat flour. So all flours, throw those in the trash bin as well. The body can't do anything with flour unless the seeds were pre-sprouted. They were sprouted, they were dehydrated, pulverized. That's a different level of flour. It's like the flour, even, what's their name, Quaker. They're using a lot of sprouted grains now. You know, I'm associated with a company in South Carolina that produces, in Alabama, which produces these sprouted grains. So like things like the Ezekiel bread and things like that, those grain breads, those are sprouted and they turned into flour. You know, so there's new consciousness, you know, as opposed to the period, the time of Dr. Shelton and the other pioneers. We have made some strides a little further ahead by, you know, thanks to Ann Wigmore introducing the world to the whole sprouting culture. But generation since Ann Wigmore, we have taken it to a whole another level, let's put it that way, by sprouting and then dehydrating and pulverizing. So you have, you know, even simple things like sprouted sunflower seeds that were dehydrated and you can buy them already whole, ready to eat, ready to use. So there's so much, you know, within our food systems of knowledge and science that, you know, there are gaps that we're suffering based on going through this, you know, this learning process of fusing the old with the new and the future. Here it is. We're already probably smacking the future already, because a lot of people will say to individuals like myself, like, oh, you've been ahead of your time. I said, no, please. I've been on time, always been on time for the past 53 years. Maybe you maybe you are late. So let me share with you. So I've never been ahead of my time. I've been on time, on my time, you know, with what I'm doing. And so was Herbert Shelton. He was not ahead of his time. He was on time for his time. So let's really step it up and do what we got to do now that it's our turn to contribute to the advancement of humanity through our food culture.
Yeah. Thank you. So this has to do with, so if somebody is raised in a northern climate, basically the question is, what about the concept of humans evolving to eat meat and starch because they had to be in northern climates and did not have access to fruit? Some people say that if you were raised in a food forest like you were with an ample amount of fruits, then you might be more inclined to be on a more fruitarian style diet, as opposed to someone who was raised in northern climate feeling they should be eating more meat and more starch. How do you feel about that?
Well, that's a valid statement, you know, but take a look at the Eskimos, the most extreme of, we're not talking just no fruits, no vegetables, no greens, nothing but blubber, fat from seafood, sea fish, animals. They have the shortest lifespan on the planet. So because we were born, we were given a certain culture, certain limitations based on our environmental factors. Ultimately, human beings originated in the tropics. The home place of human beings on this planet originated in the tropics. So the more you can gravitate closer to the tropical belt, the more, with generations, the adaptation will be facilitated to bring you back home. So that's why I said when people
Right.
come to me, I say, welcome home. But not welcome home to my home, welcome home to yourself, your home within. Now your body can begin to readjust and take the process of basically ascension. Because yes, we say human beings have evolved. I don't think human beings have evolved based on, eating a certain way. They have actually devolved. They're sicker than ever on those diets, in those temperate climates, and not eating enough fruits and vegetables. So we need to evolve and step it up. We need to come back up to higher heights. The closer we live to the sunshine, or where the sun shines, the more wholesome our life is going to be. Less disease, for sure. So you check out the blue zones on this planet and see where most of them are located. We're talking certain place in Japan. We're talking, I think, Loma Linda, California. We're talking Costa Rica. We're talking somewhere in Turkey, So
Italy.
these are the places in Italy, right, in the Mediterranean, closer to the sun, not up in the mountains, not up in the Alps, closer to the sunshine. And look up blue zones and you will see and you'll figure out why some people in certain parts of the world live longer on average. Look up the people look up the Huns of people in the Himalayas, even though they live in the mountains and they live in a certain, but their life is outdoor. They eat foods that are coming from their environment. In the wintertime, they have their figs and their other fruits, the apricots, the tomatoes that they dehydrated in the summer. And you go to Ecuador, Vilcabamba, the other place on the planet that have more centenarians than anywhere else. Vilcabamba and Shangri-La, in the Hunzas, more centenarians in those communities, and the blue zones as well, higher quality of life, So, this is one situation that was presented to me once when I was in Canada, and I'm putting forth my philosophy, my theory, my science, and someone came up with the issue of, well, shouldn't you be eating foods that are grown within 100-mile radius of where you live? I said, hurrah, hurrah, hurrah. Does rice grow within 100-mile radius of New York? What grows within 100-mile radius of upstate New York? Some times of the year, nothing grows there. You should be fasting and hibernating then. But yes, of course, there's been some movements of evolution, in a positive way, even though there's carbon footprints that we have to look at in terms of importing foods from other parts of the world. So ultimately, in the long run, you're really better off moving back to the Mediterranean and Greece than staying stuck up in the Alps in Switzerland, and you're importing stuff from Greece or from Jamaica or Barbados or Panama. But we have to find that balance for what works for us as an individual. There's no one system, one thought suits us all at this point in our development, as human beings on this planet.
Do you think maybe we should bring somebody on right now, see if anybody has a question, if they want to join us?
Yeah, there's a couple of people in the queue. Let's bring, questions or, no, okay, people in the queue, there are two of them. Okay, that's one is you. The other one, let's bring this other person in right here. Okay, see if we can get a live question in. Okay, greetings. Yes,
Good morning.
How are you? Good morning. Yeah, share your name, please, and where you're located.
Hi. My name's Charles Chavez. Yes, an honor. It's an honor to meet you. Blessings. Aris, I have a question for you. I'm a ex-carnivore that has been trying to switch over.
We're getting a feedback. Do you have your speaker on? We're getting a feedback.
Yeah.
Take it somewhere else. Take it somewhere else.
Okay. Is this a little better?
Oh, that's excellent. Yeah.
A little better? Okay, yeah. So my question for you is, I'm a ex-carnivore, and
we're still getting the
I am
feedback.
trying to switch over.
Yeah.
We're still getting the feedback. I'm not hearing you clearly. Are you hearing SHERYLEA? SHERYLEA, do you
Let me
hear
try
the
this.
question?
Is this a little better?
Yes, it is for me.
Hello?
Do you hear SHERYLEA?
Okay.
Me too.
Yeah. Sorry about the feedback there. So my question for you, Aris, is that I am an intermittent faster as well, and I've been switching over, starting to replace meat with more fruits and vegetables. So I incorporate a vegan, a vegetarian, and diet on Mondays and Thursdays now. Getting off of the meat, incorporating a little more fish. My question to you is, what's the best way to break a fast? Well, I've been breaking it with eggs, and so I want to switch off of that with more fruits. What would you recommend? Should I juice or eat just regular fruits for the fiber, and why?
Well, ideally, you want to consider both juice and fiber. When you break your fast in the morning, first we need to consider that the human digestive system, the stomach itself, the normal size of our stomach is a clenched fist. So you can put a clenched fist next to where you feel your stomach is, and that's the normal size. When you sleep at night, that bag empties out and it closes down and should come back to this almost rudimentary position here. So when you're going to open that bag in the morning, if we open it too wide and fill it up with eggs, cereals, and other foods that are going to trigger intensive digestion, then the body, which normally at this point of the day, the break fast period, the body ideally is more suited to eliminating. So the break fast period is an 8-hour period, generally, from the time you awaken, ideally from 4 a.m. to 12 noon. So as the sun is rising from 4 a.m. to 12 noon, it burns the clouds out of the sky. It's also burning the mucus out of your system. That's why you would see like construction workers, people who do heavy duty outdoor works, they go to work early in the morning. So they get most of their work done within that rising period. So now the body is really more adept to eliminating. But if you put in foods in the body that's going to now challenge the digestive process, that's going to activate digestion, then elimination pretty much takes a back seat because the body cannot digest and eliminate simultaneously. So we sort of short-circuiting the elimination process by starting off with eggs and breads and other types of rich foods, protein and starches, complex carbohydrate. So now, ideally for me, I recommend that first thing in the morning, first thing, we want to take an internal shower. Some of us do it with coffee. Some do it with tea. Some do it with water, lemon juice, or something of that nature. So ideally, that internal shower should be with clear, purified water. Living here in Panama, I do use coconut water. But you could use water. You could make it, yes, you could make it warm in the way of a tea, say a mint tea, a ginger tea, something of that nature. That is our internal shower to hose out the entire digestive system. And then for me,
what
the
about
next
apple
move,
cider vinegar?
yeah, instead of lemon juice, but I prefer the fresh. I prefer a lemon juice or something that's going to activate the water, but apple cider vinegar works as well. Ginger, a little ginger juice, a little lemonade, you name it. Then I would probably go out and do some work, run, do yoga, something, climb a tree, who knows, ride a bike. For about an hour, go to the gym. Then when I come back, my next shot is going to be juice, fresh fruit juice. pineapple, apple, mango, orange juice. You want vitamin C because you burnt up a lot. And also you want to keep that liquid coming through. You're really hosing out the digestive system. And then mid-morning, now I want to eat fruits. I want fiber. And I don't want anything that's going to trigger intense digestion. I want fiber, so my oranges, peaches, pears, nectarines, plums, watermelon, you name it, cantaloupe. Now we're going to sweep, mop, scrub, get the digestive system ready. So by 12 noon, now we're switching from elimination. When you're sleeping at night, you're fasting, the body's doing its repair work, breaking down dead cells, building new ones, 8 hours. Phase 2 is eliminating that waste matter that was released. That's the break fast period for 8 hours, not a meal. I think the bankers turn it into a meal, but it's really supposed to be an elimination period for 8 hours. It's the breaking of the fast, the break fast. But of course, we say it's a breakfast, and now it has become a meal. And you see that meal is loaded with a lot of complex carbohydrates, starches, grains, you name it, and fat.
Is this something to incorporate like for a lifetime? Are you saying like a cleanse to do this maybe just for a short period of time, like maybe 30, 40 days and then back to something regular? Or is this something you can incorporate for forever?
Yeah, this is a lifetime. This is okay. You know, the human body works in rhythm. So we got to get back. We're out of sync with the rest of the universe. So this is what, the rhythm is the sun shines every day for a certain amount of hours. It is not temporary, or if it's temporary, seasonal. The length, the intensity, and all of these things. Same thing with our body. There's certain times of the year that we step it up and go through a major deep cleaning, a spring cleaning, or something of that nature. But on a regular basis, you want to really do more what I call the electrical foods in the morning. High moisture and high fiber. So now when you're doing, as you mentioned now, an intermittent fasting, I'm a linguist. It's more of an extended fasting. Instead of breaking your fast at 6 o'clock, 8 o'clock in the morning, you extend it for another 3-4 hours to 10, 11 o'clock. So it's an extension of your fast. So that's perfect. And you can extend it even further. You can extend it for 36 hours and do a once a week fast for 36 hours. So these are regular things that we want to do.
Water fast Wednesday.
Perfect. Excellent. So yeah, I would recommend more of the electrical foods. I would recommend more of the electrical foods, the high moisture foods, the fruits in the mornings. But of course, some people are going to panic and they think sugar when they hear fruits in the morning only. But there are many sugarless fruits that we can enjoy, like the cucumber and the tomatoes and the peppers, these types of things, eggplants and okras. There's so many fruits that we can enjoy. Or if your system has been compromised to the point where you have diabetes and you really can't even tolerate minimal amount of sugar, then do the vegetables, do the lettuce, do the vegetable group in the mornings, but with no starch and no protein. And if you're going to do starch and protein, minimal, and in the latter part of the morning, but ideally fruits in the morning, electrical foods, high moisture, high fiber, then protein for lunch. So from 12 noon to 8 p.m.
That gives me a great start.
12 noon to 8 p.m., we go into putting in the building foods into the body. The building foods are the magnetic foods, the rich foods, the protein and the starches. So you want to keep the protein and the starches separate from each other, one at a meal. I highly recommend the protein for lunch meal with vegetables, and then the starches, complex carbohydrate for dinner with vegetables. Go ahead.
Perfect. That was perfect for me. So like I said, I'm switching over. I'm going to try this out and to see what my energy's like. I'm really active, yoga, workout, a lot of cycling, and But I'm excited. Thank you so much. Thank you. That's exactly what I wanted to hear. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for dropping in. Any comments, Shirley?
No,
Shirley, any comments?
I agree. I agree 100% with what you said. I think in the morning, I love I had never heard that idea of an internal shower, but you wake up from a fast in the morning and you want to put in high vibration, living, alive, the very minimally taxing on the digestive system as you're getting into your day, and I think that sets you up for more energy during the day because you're not taking in those heavier foods that are harder to digest, and then you have to put energy towards that. I think the opposite is true. You'll find you have more energy by doing it like that.
Yeah, and the big catch to it also is that if you open that bag first thing in the morning, like the doctors would say, yeah, the breakfast is the most important meal. Oh, it absolutely is. I agree with the doctors. But then we part company when they say, put in a big one. When you put in a big one, you're going to stretch that bag so wide open that you're going to have to keep it filled for the rest of the day. So open it gently, slowly, clean it out, and, stretch it out. Give it some exercise before you stuff it with heavy, rich protein. You open it up big, it's not going to close again till you go back to sleep. So after that big breakfast, big lunch, you get some kind of itis and you want to go to sleep because now the body is heavy into digestion and the stomach has been stretched beyond its capacity too early in the day.
Ain't that the truth? Yes, again. Yeah, thank you. That's perfect. That was perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Awesome.
All right.
Okay. We have
you.
something else in the lineup, so you'll just have to get yourself out of there.
Okay. Bye now. Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Bye. You're welcome. Okay, let's see.
Do you have anybody
I'm checking.
lineup?
No, there's no one else. No. Yeah, go ahead and check the questions and see what we have queued up.
Sure. So there's a question here, thoughts about superfoods such as maca, spirulina, and chlorella.
Okay, let me bring in this one person. Oh, they left out.
Okay.
There was some left out on us.
Okay.
But thoughts on superfood like maca, spirulina, and chlorella. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, maca itself is, I believe it's a fruit, if I'm not mistaken. It's a dehydrated fruit. Spirulina and chlorella, please share with the audience the source, the origin of those two.
Well, I guess you might call it pond scum.
Call it what?
They're usually the algae. It's the algae. From stagnant water.
They're algae that are produced in stagnant water. Okay, so these algae that are produced in stagnant water, I mean, I know algae like nori, dulse, wakame. These are common algae. Sea moss. These are very common algae. I always see them in their whole form. But I have never seen chlorella and spirulina in its whole form. I only see it in powder.
Right.
So that makes me go like this. Huh. No. I want to see the whole spirulina. I want to see the whole algae. Don't just present it to me in a powdered form. I am a child of the 60s. And if you go back to the 60s, you can go right now and look up the movie. There was a film out in the late 60s, I think it was 69, that's called Soylent Green. Have you
I've
seen
seen
that,
it.
SHERYLEA? You've seen Soylent
Yeah.
Green. So please, can you
Yeah.
just give them a quick little blurb of what Soylent Green was about?
Well, it was a really long time ago I saw, but it was something to the effect of feeding the human species and making a green powder actually out of human beings
That's
to
right.
feed the world.
That's right.
Yeah.
So that movie is still available. Go look it up and take a look
Yep.
at Soylent Green. 1969. Soylent Green. There's the word soy from 1969. There's the word Lent, whether it refers to Lent of fasting or Lent of lentils, who knows? And then there's the word green. So here in modern time, the whole raw food movement or the conscious food movement has gotten so plastered into this green powder culture. This green powder
Right.
culture. So I don't take green powders if I don't know their origin, if I don't see them whole. Because Soylent Green is still, I mean, it's amazing. 69. And look at how it resonates today. Green. And we're into green smoothie, green this, green so much. Green is the backdrop of the foods of nature. Then you have reds and golds and oranges and pinks and purples and all these different colors. It's the spectrum of the rainbow. So to reduce everything to just green and having that reference, because, you know, those were very political and revolutionary films back then. This just didn't happen to just show up just like that, you know.
Right.
But anyway, spirulina and chlorella are not on my list of to eat foods, you know. So give me some nori. You know, there's some wild crafted nori and things of that nature, you know, and it's been cultivated, you know, it's raised in controlled environments, you know, in farms, which a lot of the other seaweeds do. But at least show me the algae connection. Show me that it really came through this way. Sell me a sheet of it. Sell me a leaf. Sell me a branch, you know, something. Let me powder it.
Yeah. Okay, thank you for that. So another question was, why, if someone is starting on a living foods diet and they are coming from a high protein diet, protein, and they are highly muscled, why do you call losing muscle when starting on living foods losing waist?
Okay, well, basically, those muscles are packed with waste. It's uneliminated waste that we condense by compressing them into muscles. So obviously, if the quality of the waste was questionable, then, you know, you're packed with toxemia, toxins. So the body, when you go into this transition of shifting to a more wholesome way of eating, the system is going to first unpack, or at least combust, the waste matter that's in the system. So it starts to eat up toxemia. It starts converting toxins into energy. It starts converting fat into energy. So a lot of these so-called disease conditions are starting to disappear now because we're not feeding them their food anymore, especially cancer cells. Cancer cells are scavenger cells that the body developed to metastasize this waste, to eat up this waste, to eat up this filth that's in it, trying to defend itself. But of course, the cancer cells become so powerful because they get so well fed and they create their own colony, separate, and they just there like, give me more, give me more. And you become an addict to all of this, you know, animal protein and other foods that are leaving behind excessive amount of waste. So now when you start making that change and you start burning it up or eliminating it from the pockets that it's been stashed in, you may go through a healing crisis. So you need to manage it.
Right.
So basically, now we're talking waste management. Now you're into the waste management culture. How are you going to get this waste out of your system? How are you going to manage to get it out safely to come back through your heart without having an adverse effect, or better known as a healing crisis, without having a healing crisis? So this takes a lot. This takes a lot. So, there's a lot that we need to look at in terms of this, and rebuilding these muscles now with a different quality material. Just keep in mind that the body was not designed to store or warehouse a lot of excessive things that it needs. It tends to burn it up, use it up, and you have to keep replenishing it on a regular basis, possibly a daily basis with certain things. So most of what you're storing is not like for a rainy day. It's not for the famine. It is waste. So yeah, periodically, sure, you want to take some time out and hibernate and burn this waste up. Like our animals who eat a lot during a certain period of time, they take a time that they go on a fast.
Right.
So we do these things, but rebuilding your body and being muscle bound and all of that is possible on all fresh plant living foods, and looking at your rich, dense protein, your seeds, your nuts, particularly hemp seed, 90% protein, quality protein that doesn't leave residual waste matter behind, doesn't leave the uric acid behind that we experience from eating animal protein.
And if anybody's interested in more of an athletic approach to, whatever it happens to be, and building some extra muscle using this type of a program, I could direct you to Dr. Doug Graham. He kind of specializes in that.
Yes, Dr. Doug Graham, he trained football players, military personnel, and this is a living foodist. This brother has been on living foods. I think we've been on it together for as long together, 40 plus years. And he is the one that you need to consult with if he still does that work, to get.
He does do it.
Okay, perfect.
Yep. Yeah, so that's perfect. Now okay, well, there's two things here. Let's do, I'm going to ask you about, you had mentioned a couple of our interviews about Dr. Kuchikoff and the moisture factor. Yes. And you said that you were going to expand on that, but we never actually did it. And somebody was interested on who he is and what his whole premise was about.
Well, I'm going to have to look it up. I don't keep references like that in my mind readily available, but I can look it up and post it. Because it's best for you to look at the entire body of work that he's done, rather than getting a little capsule from me, because I'm not going to do it, the proper justice. But basically, the bottom line is that all foods have a critical temperature level at which they can be exposed to before they die or become mucus forming.
Right.
And produces an excessive amount of white blood cells. And the most delicate one is water. Water, when it stops running and it's at a certain temperature and it stagnates, it's going to grow moss and start smelling, stink. It's going to break down, decay, and so we're talking something like 60 degrees or so, very low, and then when you get up to certain things like what we're doing now with live food, and we said 105 degrees, 110, 115 degrees. You don't want to expose the food to so much heat because you're going to kill it, you're going to destroy it. So a lot of this work is based on the original research that was done by Dr. Kuchikov. The name is spelled something like Kuch something and something. I don't have that, available that I can just pull it up and share it with you right away. But it's available. You can find it online, and so he went through the whole thing, and but for a little more up to date information on similar research than Dr. Howell. Dr.
Okay.
Howell, enzyme nutrition. This will land you exactly where you are today and why you need to be careful about destroying the enzymatic activity in the foods through heat.
Right.
Because the more cooked food you eat, the more white blood cells your body is going to produce, more mucus. And when body produces a lot of white blood cells, that's the military, the defense force that it calls out to protect itself from this foreign invader. Potatoes and rice and all of these guys that produce all this heavy mucus. So, and then also we need to even reference the tremendous work of Professor Arnold Ehret, the mucusless diet and healing system. Same thing, different era, different approach, but it's still solid today.
Same message though,
Exactly.
Message across. So I just want to mention here, if anybody has any questions that is on the live right now, they can put their question in the question box, and if they want to come on with a question, you can do that. I don't know if you want to. Do you have anybody there, Aris?
Yeah, it looks like there's someone here. Okay, yes, let's bring this person in.
My phone is turned. I can't turn it the other way. I don't know why.
Okay, we're fine. We're fine. What's your name?
Greetings. My name is Tiffany. I would love to come and see you soon. So don't be surprised. And then sometime this year that I'm there. But I deal with Hashimoto's. And I was trying to find out your opinion on bladderwrack, kelp, and any other types of natural amino acids that I could use to help strengthen my immune system.
Well, definitely the bladderwrack is good. That works, but generally overall, to strengthen the immune system is first of all not challenging it, as much as we have done in the past. Not calling on the digestive system to process food that it was not designed to process effectively. And the number one thing, we need to look at food combination, which is something that we did touch on, a couple of weeks ago. So we have to really be very religious about separating our starches from our protein.
Okay. I tried to find out which books. I remember I just bought one of your books that you mentioned. It came in a yellow covering. But any other books, because I'm not sure the name of the book because it just arrived through Amazon on combining foods.
Yeah, well, besides the old work, the traditional foundation work by Dr. Shelton, I mentioned Steve Merowitz, that one of our ancestors now, but was closer, my contemporary, that did a lot of work on food combining. Of course, all of Ann Wigmore's work from Hippocrates Health Institute is very solid as well. But there are quite a few books on the subject today of food combining.
Okay.
There's a food combining chart that I highly recommend by Wayne Pickering. Wayne, Wayne, Pickering. You can get it online. Master food combining chart. That is the foundation work of all food combining charts that you see today. But he's done an extensive work on that chart, and I think it's about 40 years old now, and it's still relevant. It's still better than a lot of the new stuff that are being put out there.
Okay.
You know, so but yeah, you know, keep looking online and looking at information that's already out there with about your immune system, and strengthening it by really eating more fresh plant living foods, sun-fired foods, and not producing so much negative bacteria in our gut. And negative bacteria is produced from fermented, undigested, you know, putrefied food matter, waste. So keep the gut clean and produce more friendly bacteria, and your immune system is going to bounce itself back.
I really appreciate it. I will see you sometime this year.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Sheryl, any comments from you on that?
Well, I was just going to also say, you know, like what you mentioned, not taxing the body any more than it has to be through proper food combining and eating the proper foods. But also, you know, in a case like that, it might be ideal to take some time to do a juice fast, an extended juice fast.
Can I ask for a little time out? I need to take a quick 3-minute break. And then when I come back, we're going to have like 10 minutes to wrap it up.
Yep.
So take a few minutes and expound on what you're saying right now for us.
Yeah, so I was just going to say that in a case like that, if you're dealing with Hashimoto's, it might be a really good idea to incorporate an extended juice fast. So something beyond, you know, your typical 5 to 7 days, maybe look at something 25 to 30 days. And maybe even throw some water fasting in there if you're able to do that. And if you find that that's really hard and challenging to do, or you don't have the ability to get a juicer or any of these things that you would need, because it would have to be fresh juice. You definitely don't want to be buying a store-bought pasteurized juice if that's something you want to do. Would also be doing a mono diet. You could either do grapes, you could do watermelon, something that's in season, and run that for, you know, maybe a week to 10 days, see how you feel, or maybe combine that with some kind of a juice feast. And that might help alleviate some of your symptoms as well. And another person that I could recommend would be Dr. Morse. If any of you have heard of Dr. Morse, I think it's Dr. Morse, ND. He's a naturopathic doctor, and he deals with a lot of diseases. So he uses a living foods approach, mostly fruit-based, but he also uses a lot of herbs as well to complement that. So that's another thing that somebody could do if they were, you know, struggling with something like Hashimoto's, or, you know, diabetes, or anything that we would be considered, you know, a disease. So yeah. Okay, I will try this. I have a great juicer. That's great. Yeah, if you have a great juicer, it's great. There's so many good juicers right now in the market, and you don't need to spend a fortune on a juicer, but you definitely need to get it. You should get it. Everyone should have a juicer, and, you know, be able to do some juicing, because it really is life-changing as well. If anybody else has any other questions, I think someone had asked from the last, you're back.
Yes, so I'm here.
Yeah, so I just finished off. Basically, I just said, you know, she could incorporate some juice feasting extended, you know, obviously doing her own juicing, not store-bought juice. And if that's not possible, you know, a mono diet of something, either grapes or watermelon, and in combination with maybe a little water fasting, but a mono diet is on one fruit is great. Mm-hmm. And I also led them to Dr. Morse's website, because he with a lot of disease, like, you know, severe disease conditions, and he is mainly a fruit-based living food for sure, but he does use a lot of herbs, but those are for healing, you know. So
yes, excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with that 100%. Looks like there's someone else in the queue. Let me
Okay.
bring them in here. Okay, here we go. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Excellent, excellent. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. I enjoy all your content.
Thank you, thank you.
Yes, and I'm trying to get healthier. What do you
Mhm.
think about Irish moss?
Irish moss is excellent. It's a wonderful seaweed or sea plant that's very high in calcium and lots of other minerals. You
Okay.
know, we're talking strengthening and rebuilding the bone structure. Irish moss is one of the top things on my list these days.
And what would you suggest for someone? I have arthritis and I'm obese, so I need to drop some pounds.
Okay, well, you need to drop some starch. You need to get.
That's my favorite.
Yeah, I know. It's an odd love affair.
Carbohydrates are my
It
favorite.
doesn't love you back as much as you love it.
I know.
You know, yeah, your complex carbohydrates, the rice, the bread, the potatoes, and all of these rich starchy foods with fat. Because we always eat starch with fat, butter, mayonnaise, lard,
Right.
whatever, oil. And this is where, you know, that double sword comes in, you know, of you know, the fat, you know, and the starch, that a bond that the body can't break effectively for the volume that we consume, you
Right.
know, because
I
it's a
don't
very
eat a lot of.
addicting.
I don't get enough protein because I don't eat a lot of meat or
Yeah,
chicken, and I kind of revert to carbohydrates because that's easier.
yeah.
What kind of protein can I get that's maybe more vegan or?
Well, I definitely would recommend the seeds and nuts, you know, like walnuts are excellent source of protein, but it's how you consume them becomes the question now. You know, you want to pre-soak them for 12 hours and you want to grind them down, say in a food processor, and make, say, possibly like a nut meat. You know,
Oh,
so
okay.
all the seasonings that you would put into your traditional meat dish, chicken or fish or beef or whatever, lettuce, celery, onion, garlic, bell peppers, fresh herbs. These are the same things you want to put in your food processor with your pre-soaked walnuts or almonds, pecans, sunflower seeds, sesame seeds, you name it, pumpkin seed. Grind them down with the special seasoning, the herbs, the spices, and make a nut meat or a nut meat pate, you
So
know, a spread.
that would be like eating meat, like eating
It,
a
it
burger or
is meat.
something.
It is nut meat. It is the meat of the
Oh,
nut.
okay.
It's their very high, rich, concentrated protein that don't
Okay.
leave behind the residual waste matter that you would find from eating animal protein.
I'm gonna try it.
Okay. Well, all
Thank
the
you.
best to you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Anything? Okay. Anything you'd like to share, Shirley?
I agree with you. I mean, honestly, I don't really think that the protein, I mean, for sure we need some protein, but you know, I feel like when someone's got a condition like arthritis, or, you know, I don't know how much, if you're in a lot of pain, in terms of your arthritis or how severe it is. But again, I think in that situation, it's less is more. So maybe not worrying about the protein. You don't worry about it. Let's get the body more alkaline. Let's get it, you know, working, cleaning out. You know, I would always say, like, let's go back to maybe doing some juicing, doing some water
Mhm.
fasting, and going on a mono diet of something. Really just let the body start cleaning up, because arthritis, like you've talked about, Aris, it's like that many years of starch consumption and getting locked in the joints and creating pain. You know, the fruit's going to be the best thing to be able to move that out of the body.
Oh, okay.
You know,
Okay.
and then as that happens, come back to maybe incorporating some more protein foods. But if you can and you're able to, just give yourself a little break from all of the foods that are harder to digest. That would be my advice.
That's
Yeah.
very sound advice. You know, and this is very important that we need to really look on the other side of the mirror and not keep emphasizing what's good for it. Let's talk about what's bad for it. What caused this in the first place? And let me get that off of my plate before I start to put on the plate what's good for it. Let's get the cause off. So
Okay.
thank you, SHERYLEA, and thank you for
Yeah.
bringing us with that question.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Take care now.
Thank you.
Okay, I think we're about, at the
We're,
point that we could wrap. Any other questions? Go ahead.
no, I was just going to say we've been on for an hour, and I think I've pretty much gone through my list, and we're able to get a few people on, so I think that's great. And do you want to just talk a little bit, just for a moment, about your what you offer at your retreats? Before you say that, I'll just let everybody know that my name's SHERYLEA and my company is Lifespanners, lifespanners2100.com. And I help with all of these things. We do like full nutritional analysis and can help with getting into a more living foods diet, and can answer any questions that anyone has. So tell us a little bit about your retreats before we go.
Okay, well, I have a retreat center and culinary institute located in Panama, the Republic of Panama, Central America. And we're on an island, just a small little island, 30 minutes off of the coast of Panama City, an island by the name of Taboga, Taboga. So we hold 4 retreats here per month. And I do have flyers posted here on IG. We have one that we call the Beach Life Retreat, where it's basically all about fun, enjoying the beach here on the island, and it's food, fun, and fitness, literally, So enjoying the beach, enjoying the nature here. We take you into the rainforest and lots of great food and the fitness, the activity, and the fun. It just doesn't really stop. You get some time in the kitchen as well. You get to do some wellness therapy. So it's sort of like a sampler of,
Right.
a sun-fired experience, as we will call it. Then we have the juice retreat, which is all about juicing, 6 days in the kitchen with me, juicing and learning all about the different types of juicers, how to shop, how to store your fruits and so forth, the different processes of making juices, the value of particular juices, and you name it, all about juice. You can either drink juices for the entire week while you're here, or we can still make food for you, but making sure that, we share with you what you come to accomplish, to get your juice knowledge in, so when you get back home, you are a juice master, literally. Then also we have the Sunfired certification course. That's 36 hours in the kitchen with me, 6 hours per day. We make at least 36 recipes, for the entire week. And it's a total intensive, and you do get a certificate for this. And we do cover quite a bit of the science as well. And then we have our regenerative retreat. This is more of a detox, wellness retreat with some fasting and also some therapy as well, wellness therapies, massage and yoga and all those types of things involved. So, we do also receive people, say, on a 1 day or 2 day pass. If you want to come and visit us on a weekend, get a sampler of what we're doing. And that's pretty much about it. That keeps me totally busy. So I have no time for consultations and things of that nature. We're not a healing institute, so we don't necessarily have the support services to receive ones who may have, advanced medical conditions. But, if you do have medical conditions that you want to look at, that makes you still possible or able to access my knowledge, then you're definitely welcome. And you may even want to bring someone with you, especially the person who's going to be fixing your foods as well. So That's it. You can reach me through my website, sunfired.com, email address sunfired@sunfired. And yeah, I look forward to sharing with you as much as possible.
Just in regards to that, someone asked if someone came to your Sunfired certified course, would that give them the knowledge to be able to either work in a raw food restaurant or possibly open up their own?
Well, it's a fundamental certification, so it
Okay.
really it's more of like an introduction. You
Okay.
know, it depends on, in terms of working in a restaurant, you would have enough skills. The first thing is for you to defend your life, your family, your loved ones in the kitchen. But you know, the Sunfired reputation, you know, rings a pretty loud bell, you know, worldwide. So it could, yeah, help you land a job, but it's not giving you all the tools. For those of you who may be interested in going into the food business, seeking a job or opening up some sort of food operation, then we have 3 other levels beyond the certification, the fundamental certification course that you can come, and we would even lay out the blueprint for you to how to set up your restaurant and all that is needed, the nuts and bolts to get it working, recipes and all.
Perfect. Well, Aris, thank you so much for these last 4. We've been on every Sunday for a month, so
Yes, you're welcome.
Really wonderful, and I'm sure we'll do more in the future. It was amazing, and thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome. I appreciate sharing together with you as well. Thanks for the opportunity, you know, to reach out, you know, to your community and either reach further into my community with this type of information, and your collaboration that has added a tremendous, you know, level of know-how, you know, knowledge, personal experience to what I'm doing. And yeah, let's do it again. Absolutely. Absolutely.
We will for sure. And thank you so much. And I can't wait to come see you in Taboga.
Looking forward, man. Take care.
Okay.